Hello, hello. I am officially live and I am excited to get started with today's call. It is 9:57 Central Time right now. And I wanted to go ahead and get this going so that people can see that it's happening. Hey, Jill. Hey, Sheila. Glad you guys are on here. Last week, we discovered that sometimes it's kind of hard to find where Facebook Live is. So because I'm starting early, you're getting a notification that it's happening, as well as having the opportunity to share immediately. So you can, while you are watching this, if you know of somebody else who may be interested in this content, feel free to go ahead and share, and then they can hop on Facebook Live as it happens. Sheila's going to be going ahead and sharing this in the Unschooling Families Facebook group, in the Mama Says Namaste Facebook group, and I think on my own timeline. So we will have this going live in all kinds of great places. So I am very excited about this week because it's not just me. We're going to throw in some major wild cards here because we are going to be adding in my girls, and I will be taking each kiddo and talking a little bit about what unschooling is like for them. So while we are waiting for us to officially start, I will show you a little bit of what's going on behind the scenes, to get the behind the scenes look just for hopping on early. So behind me here is some work that is being done. We have over here, we have a little bit of what's going on in our world with education. So here Juliet is learning her letters. Oh, it's kind of dark. Can't fully see. There you are. Juliet's learning letters with Nathan.
Hello.
And Clara is working on a top secret video surprise, which will be released later on this week. We have a special event happening in my family, and there may be some fun family surprises going on that the girls have been working on for a while. So I'm excited to share that with all of you, but I can't talk about it a lot because it is top secret. So some of the things that we are going to be talking about. Hey, Michael, glad to see you on here as well. I am going to go back a little bit back and forth with notes here. But since it's officially 10 o'clock, I'll go ahead and get started with it now. We are going to talk about delight-led learning. We're going to hit curiosity boards, and I'll show you what the girls have worked on yesterday in doing their own little variation of a curiosity board. And we're going to just talk about ideas for pursuing interests as I kind of go over their curiosity boards with them. We'll talk about how they want to learn, what things they've learned in the past, and how they've figured things out, maybe in a not so conventional way. So I'll bring each of them on for a few minutes to talk about what they're interested in, and then I'm going to open it up for you guys to ask questions and share any ideas. And speaking of sharing, again, if you know of anybody else that needs to watch this or you think would be really interested about it, you can go ahead and share it now, and they can hop on Facebook Live and actually see us happening in action. And of course, we will be posting the replay all over, so you'll be able to share the replay as well. So as I'm going through, also in case I forget, when I do bring a kiddo on, if you have a question for any of the kids, please go ahead and type them in the comments, and I'll make sure that I address it before they hop off as well. Now, before they hop on, there are a few more things that I wanted to share with you. And yeah, you can wait right there. And the first one is I have a traditional school versus unschooling comparison chart. Now, this comparison chart is it just kind of highlights some of the ways that we've reframed our thinking. And Sheila's going to share that, share a link to get this comparison chart in the comments below. So check out this comparison chart and just kind of get some ideas for the different ways that we learn versus what you might be used to in a typical school format. As additionally, we also, in the podcast this week, we talk about delight-led learning. So this is the Mama Says Namaste podcast. Season 5, we've been going over the concept of functional education and what that is. So with functional education, it's kind of that mind, body, soul approach, just like functional medicine. It's taking it beyond the classroom and beyond specific subjects and looking at how we instill lifelong learning and the love of learning and that growth mindset throughout our lives, no matter what age you are and no matter what school system that you're doing with your family, what kind of what methods you're using for schooling. So we talked about that. We really dug into it this week on the podcast, and even have a special guest appearance from Juliet on the podcast this week. And one of the things that we discussed a lot on the podcast was about screen time. And I pulled in the podcast notes, which again, Sheila will post a link for my blog post / podcast / video that I have, that I posted this week. It just went live this morning. And in that one, I posted a video about screen time and kind of my case for screen time, because screen time tends to be a big issue, especially when it comes into the schooling process. Is this something that helps or hinders when we have kids that want to do nothing but veg out in front of the TV? So I have a video on that blog post, along with where you can listen to the podcast live, and you can also get another printable that is kind of a chart. When we did a survey last year in the Unschooling Families group about screen time and how many people used screens for their schooling. So there are 3 links that Sheila has that she will be posting that will be great extra resources for you as well. Hey Kayla, hey Ann, good to see you guys here. I'm really excited Ann's on here too. Ann is Nathan's whatever. It's a distant cousin, but they unofficially an aunt and uncle who we have the pleasure of visiting with right now, actually in Georgia, where we are. And it has been great. We talked a little bit about Ann and her family and another cousin who was here in town. We talked a little bit about them on the podcast this week too, because they are coming from different schooling styles than what we have. So our family unschools. Well, Ann is an elementary school teacher. She's working in the public school system, and she's working with elementary kids, very similar ages as what we have. And so it's been really great to see, to talk about all of the different ways that our children are learning, and different ways to just to instill that love of learning in kids, regardless of what the school situation may be. So I'm excited about potentially even going and visiting her school this week with the girls and having Clara read her book, which would be great, and a great opportunity for my girls to be able to go and tour a traditional school setting that they have not experienced. Clara's been to a public school once in her life, and that was to read her book during her book tour when she had published her book when she was 8 years old. And then the other 2 have not seen a public school or an elementary school other than preschools. They have not been in. So this would be a fun experience for them. That's an immersion experience, which we'll be talking about. So without further ado, let me go ahead and bring some kiddos on. Hey, Ellie Rose, are you ready? All right. Hey, Christine, glad to have you on. All right, so we're going to get started with kiddo number 1, Miss Ellie Rose. Now, I am going to try and take my headphones out so that we can both talk, but the sound may not be as great. So tell me if you are not able to hear well, and we will share headphones instead. All right. So now we are ready to go. This is Ellie. And Ellie, how old are you?
I'm 8.
8 years old. All right. So you're excited to be on your first Facebook Live? She has been very excited. We kind of did a mock practice earlier today, and she keeps asking, when are we going to be on Facebook Live? Ellie loves to do video, and and loves to talk with people. So this is a great fit for her. So we are talking about curiosity boards, and you did a curiosity board. So first off, a curiosity board, what this is very similar to a vision board. But we're calling it a curiosity board because for our kids and for us, this is our challenge on the podcast this week, is to create this curiosity board. And this is where you add in things that you are interested in, that you want to know more about. And it's a great exercise for the whole family to do. You can get super crafty with it. You can do it with magazines and everything like a traditional vision board, or you can get just crayons and markers or paint or anything else. So this one here, we have done, you're going to show, let's go up where we can get it so that they can see it. Got to get the lighting correct on this. There we go. All right. So there we go.
And this is a phone. This is a phone because I want to know how the signal goes through. And then unicorns, I want to know if they're real. And bunnies, I want to know what their purpose and how they came. And I want to know how their stripes make them blend in. And what makes plants plants.
What makes plants plants. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. So you put on there, phone. Okay, you love screens, right? You love technology. You love learning about it. But, or you love being on it. And so now you've taken something that you really love and you want to learn how it works.
Yeah. Like, I was wanting to do it yesterday because I was wondering, how does the signal get through from one phone to another without there being a wire attached?
Right, which is interesting, especially considering this is coming from a kid who's never experienced the world of payphones and phones on cords and everything else. We've explained some of these things to her, but this is stuff that is very interesting for her to learn about, and has happened because it's something that we talk about, being educated on the stuff that you utilize, whether that's the food that you're eating or it's the technology that you're using. What's the history behind it? What's the background? Why is it useful and how does it work? Okay, you also put on here bunnies. Why are you interested in rabbits right now?
Well, why I'm interested in rabbits is because it's mostly because I want to know what is their purpose and why they are here.
Exactly. And rabbits are fresh in your mind. Why? Where are we right now?
We're in a rabbit state park.
We are in a rabbit state park, aren't we? The state park that we're at has rabbits everywhere. And it's not just wild rabbits. These are like domesticated rabbits that are hopping all over the place. They're black and white and spotted, and they are a hoot. And so we have been going out and, they'll crawl in your lap, but they're just roaming all over here. So it's been really fun. And of course, it's become fresh in her mind. So here we are. This is a perfect example of kind of creating a climate of possibility. We are going out, we're being exposed to new and different things. So, there's a lot of curiosity around why are there domesticated rabbits all over this island that we are on, and where are the predators, and then going deeper into this curiosity of rabbits. So we're going to dive more into that, right? All right. So I have just a few more questions. Kayla posted some wonderful questions before the Facebook Live started, and she had asked some questions of the kids. So I wanted to talk a little bit about those with you. So Ellie, on our travels, we've been RVing in the States for 1.5 years. You've had the opportunity to meet a lot of children. With a lot of different school backgrounds. Is there any kind of difference with that? Does that affect how you play with them or anything like that?
Well, not really, because a person is a person. And it doesn't really matter if they live a different way than me. But it is kind of different to make a friend that lives in school.
That goes to a traditional school.
And but I still make really good friends with them.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
And one of the reasons for that is the question that we ask our kids often: who is your teacher?
Everybody.
That's right. It's everybody. And that's a really powerful thing that we want to instill with our kids, is that we have the opportunity to learn and grow from anyone and everyone we meet, including all of these kids that do school in different ways than what we do in our own home, right? All right. Do you feel like you're missing out on things because you're not doing because of the way we're choosing to do school versus somebody else's?
Nope.
No? Are you enjoying it?
I am enjoying it really good because I can learn nature really well because
we're living in it all the time, huh?
And also because I don't really know like how teachers know nature because they don't really go in it.
Ooh, but sometimes they do. And that's the beauty of us then going out and exploring and seeing, because that boy, Sheila posted the great quote for all of us, Ellie: a person is a person, it doesn't matter. That's right. It's just like, what is it? Horton hears a who. Yeah.
A person's a person no matter how small.
That's exactly
But that's
true.
what I was about to say. A person's a person no matter how small.
That's right. Wisdom from Dr. Seuss. Yeah, so it is an opportunity we want to have the girls meet teachers and guides in all different ways, and whether that is a teacher in a traditional sense or whether that is the teaching and the lessons that we learn from a random 2-year-old playing at a playground, we can learn a lot about them. So on our travels, last question for you. On our travels, we have explored a lot. Are there some places that you that we've been where you really felt like you learned a lot and was super excited about?
What do you mean?
Like some places where we've gone and we've just learned a lot about the area that you've enjoyed.
Well, I think it's, what is it called? Utah and...
Oh, we're Utah and the Petrified Forest. Is that what you're talking about? Petrified Forest in Arizona?
Utah and Arizona.
That's right. What did you love about those places?
Well, there were state park everywhere. There's a state park everywhere.
And national parks. These are national parks. Yeah,
national parks. Everywhere you go, you turn around one corner, there's a state park there, and another corner, state park there. Vroom, vroom.
And how did we learn a lot at the national and state parks? What program is there?
Well,
you remember the name of the program?
No.
The Junior Ranger program?
Oh yeah, the Junior Ranger program, where you get Junior Ranger badges, and it's a fake, and it's like it's a plastic badge that goes on your shirt. It's got a clip, and you can go out and pick up trash, help clean up the environment and stuff like that.
Right, and the Junior Ranger programs are fabulous, and they are free at the state and national parks. There are all kinds of great programs. It is a wonderful way to learn, and we do utilize that a lot. So at every state park and national park we go to, we are checking out what their Junior Ranger program is like. We have some friends that, they had like 210 Junior Ranger badges from different places that they had traveled to. So there is a ton of great stuff in there. All right, so is there any last words that you want to say for people to help them continue to learn?
What do you mean?
To help them with wanting to learn throughout their life or anything like that? If not, you could...
to never stop learning.
Ah, that's a good one. I like that one. Okay, and on your website you have a tagline. Wherever you go, can you tell them?
Wherever you go, remember you are loved.
That's right. And you are very loved, Ellie Rose. Thank you so much for being on Facebook Live with us. And yeah, you can say that too.
ByeByeILoveYou.com.
And that is Ellie's website, which as we are developing her skills and reading, she is going to be posting more on her website and doing videos. She has a great one on how to meditate that you can check out as well.
It's hilarious. All of my videos are hilarious because they're from a long time ago when I was really little.
And it's time to amp it up and get some new things on there. All right. Thank you very much, Ellie Rose.
Thank you.
No. All right. Come on. Juliet Grace. We have our youngest Logston in the mix now, Miss Juliet. You say hi to everyone?
Hi.
Hi. We've got Holly and Matt and Kayla and Sheila. You got a lot of people on here, and a lot of them you know. Some we're going to be going to visit very soon. So we are, let's see. Here we'll go with your curiosity board. Show us what your curiosity board looks like.
So I'm really interested in cursive and a lot of animals.
Cursive and a lot of animals. So here, I'll hold it so I can angle it. So there we go. So why are you interested in cursive?
Because I think it's a really fun way to really draw, like, write something.
It's a really beautiful way, right?
And, like, fun, I think. And I want to learn it to see how it is.
So here we go with a 5-year-old who wants to learn about cursive. Well, she's learning letters, but she's already attracted to a specific type of penmanship. And so here is a way to really help to make that concrete and really helping her with her letters and her writing because she's really fascinated by this style. And on top of that, you think about the ways that we can go back in history and look at when was cursive invented? Like, why did you write in this way? What are all of the different ways that it looks? What are some, famous documents that are written in cursive? There are a lot of ways that we can then elaborate on our schooling and going down the cursive path and just studying in that. Now, what's something else that you have on here?
That's a lion.
A lion. You want to learn about lions? Can you talk about that one there?
Well, I want to know how hot air balloons float. I know they have hot air in them, but about there, I think all the hot air goes out. So how does it still float up in the air?
Great question. And what all subjects can we take into it as we learn about physics and the science behind it all, and how you get it to go up in the air, and when they were invented, and what the history is and the story. So here are some things that are great examples of delight-led learning, where it's something that they're curious about, and I don't have all of the answers for every single element of it. I mean, how technology works with sending texts over, and about how am I going to explain that to Ellie, or for Juliet, this hot air deal. There actually is a whole hot air balloon fiesta going on in New Mexico. We've got a lot of friends that are going to that, so this has kind of been fresh in her mind. Yes. Yes. Do you want to tell them?
Well, there's a bunch of cute baby bunnies in the cage, but you can actually feed them. You just gotta kind of squeeze the carrot on the cage and eat off of the cage.
Yeah, you're interested in.
It's hilarious.
You're interested in the bunnies as well, aren't you? So obviously we're going to be learning a lot about bunnies, and we have a lot of hands-on experience with that right now with all of the bunnies around. So this is something that Sheila made a great point here, I'm seeing in the comments here, about this is a fun way to continue learning after traditional school or on the weekends. So again, think about your vision board being more than just a vision of dreams, but it's a curiosity board. It's things that you are interested in. So Juliet, other than this, is there anything else that you want to share with maybe about why you like to learn, or maybe something that you've learned in all of our travels?
I've learned that there's a type of weird kind of trash can because so the bears don't get in it and probably die. So, and don't leave out food or the bears might attract and probably attack.
So we've learned a lot about why trash cans look a certain way at parks, and the impact that we humans have, right? So when we go through the woods, or really when we go everywhere, what's something that we say? Leave no what?
Leave no trace.
That's right, because we want to take care of our world, and we want to also be respectful of the other animals that are out there, that it's not just us humans, right? And so Jules was very big when we first started on learning about bears and how you do not feed the bears, and you even got we even got you a bear bell, didn't we? So she had a bear bell.
But then Daddy gave it to me, and I have no idea where it is.
We used it for our dog so that we could hear our dog, and our dog could not could run around without actually harming any of these sweet animals that we have seen, or getting a bear to follow her. That's right. All right, Juliet, thank you so much for being on. Is there anything else you want to say? What? You say one last thing? You can say it. Oh. Yes, afterward. That's a technical question. We can't work here. All right, you tell everybody goodbye.
Bye.
All right, so there is number 2. Now we are moving on to Clara Isabel. So Clara is the oldest. There you are. Hello, Clara. You want to tell them how old you are?
10.
10 for how much longer?
I haven't been keeping track of that, actually.
Oh, you haven't been keeping track of the exact date. And why are you not keeping track of the exact date?
Because I'm keeping track of beta fish.
Because this is an obsession right now. That's right. How many days until you are going to buy your beta fish?
19.
19. Do you want to show them what you have been working on, what you've been drawing? Here. Let's see if we can get it where it shows without. There we go. So this is the rendition of what her aquarium will look like, here. Which will be very interesting, as we are also looking at the logistics of doing this while we are in a travel trailer. So on this, well, let's go ahead and show your curiosity board, and then we'll go back to the beta fish for a minute so we can kind of dive into that again. So here's Clara's curiosity board. So she's got a lot of things on there: freshwater, fish and shrimp, learning Spanish, Greek gods, tree frogs, berries, chocolate, all mammals, how to live in the jungle with nothing. These are inspired a lot by things that we have done. We call ourselves the Field Trip Gypsies. And if you follow us on Instagram, I've got Mama Says Namaste for inspirational quotes and everything else. And then I also have Field Trip Gypsies, is where we share about our travels. And a lot of these have been inspired due to our travels, right? Mm-hmm. So first, let's going into the beta fish. So in last week's Facebook Live, I talked about how her obsession with beta fish has gone into a full book and drawings and learning all kinds of facts about them, and it's absolutely fascinating. So is there a beta fish fact that you can share with us?
They live in freshwater Asian rice paddies. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And because of the place that they live, they developed a lung-like organ that helps them breathe out of the water for a pretty long period of time for a fish.
That was really interesting for me to learn about, because Nathan and I had a beta fish when we first were married, and one day we came home and our cat had scooped the betta fish out, and it had landed in our air conditioner and was alive. It was sitting in the air conditioner vent and was alive, and we put it back in, and it lived for like another 2 months. So very interesting. I had no idea. So what's it called if they're like this, where they can breathe out of water like that?
Labyrinth fish.
A labyrinth fish. So that's one of many cool facts. I mean, you've got how to play with betta fish and teach them tricks and all kinds of stuff. But that one obsession, that one focus of a betta fish, you asked, how did that get started?
I really wanted to get a betta fish, and I started looking into it, and they're really cool.
Yeah. And it's not just a betta fish now. So what did you learn about? Because this is how we're taking something that is an educational aspect of, hey, learn about betta fish, but we're also taking it to real life practical application. What really is involved? What does it take to have a betta fish? So let's go into how are we going to apply this in real life. It's not just going out and buying a betta fish for $5 at Walmart. We can do that. But there are a lot more other things that happen. And of course, when you're bringing an animal into your home, you know that there's a lot of responsibility that comes with that. How are you kind of showing that you're responsible enough to handle this? Who else are you taking care of right now?
Harley.
Our dog,
yeah.
Right? So you're feeding and watering the dog, or giving the dog water.
I'm watering the dog.
Right. And so what other things have you learned about? Beyond betta fish, what else has this opened up that now you're learning about?
Corridor catfish, and a little bit about ghost shrimp.
Ghost shrimp, corridor catfish, and
plants.
not just fish, but or water creatures, but plants, right? You're learning about all the different plants that'll work and ways to create a symbiotic relationship with everything that's in the tank, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we've dug in a lot with that, and of course, like I said before, last week I kind of went into all of the logistics, like all of the different things we added into that, understanding math and economics and social skills, as she was calling, and price checking and seeing what different sales comparisons there were, and was it a better deal to buy from a store versus Amazon, and doing all of that list, learning the technical aspect of creating a wish list on Amazon, and then learning about the science and the history and biology of the fish, and all of the other things that now you're diving into. You basically asked everybody, what do you want to know about betta fish? Until you felt like you pretty much exhausted every question, and now you've moved on, right? I don't think I have
anything left.
But it's kind of opened up Pandora's box of like all of the different things that you can then choose to learn on, and you've learned different ways to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it's been research online, correct?
Yes.
And then some of it has actually been talking face-to-face with people, right?
Yeah.
Like you learned all about how they mate from how to breed betta fish from a friend of ours, right? So there's been different ways of interacting with it. Okay, so on the sheet here, I have I do have a question. Where will the betta fish ride when on the road? I may need to add another chapter to our 90-day family road trip. We have an online course for people that are interested in RVing, and it's called 90-Day Family Road Trip. And we talk about all the logistics of RVing in the States, and we also talk about expectations while on the road. So I bring in the element of marriage and family coaching and kind of how to be on the same page and work together. But we do cover logistical things like cooking and cleaning and setup and everything else. So how are we going to handle this betta fish on the road?
I have a place right next to my seat in the car that I'm just gonna put a bunch of bunch of towels around it so it holds in place and it won't shake.
So we have definitely looked at different places in the trailer when we're set up, as well as how we will handle travel time, because those were, again, more of those logistical real-life applications on how we are going to make a betta fish work. And we aren't going to fill the fish tank to the top, right?
No.
No. We'll keep it low enough so that we can have a little jiggle room there. All right, so back to your curiosity board. Another thing that you have on here is Spanish. So let's talk about Spanish a little bit. Why are you interested in Spanish?
because I love the Central and South America.
Yeah?
I love Spanish.
How were you first exposed to that?
We went to Costa Rica for a month, and it was amazing.
Yeah, and during that time, we had lots of full immersion into the culture, and that's something that we felt was very important, that if we are going to travel to a country that speaks another language, that we need to learn it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have a lot of interest in going back to Central America, to different areas there, including Costa Rica, again. And so we've decided as a family, we all want to learn Spanish. So how are you learning Spanish? What are the ways you're doing that?
Like when we go grocery shopping, we'll speak all in Spanish. We don't speak anything other than Spanish. And then I also do Duolingo, and we do some Rosetta Stone. And it's really fun.
Yeah. So there's 3 different ways. One is just talking in full immersion, as much as we can, talking in Spanish, and how much that helps. And that, of course, especially when we're going back into those areas, making sure that we're trying to speak the language of the people that we're talking to, as opposed to just trying to get by with our English. And then Duolingo, which is a great app. And at this point, you're how proficient?
51.
51% fluent in Spanish, according to Duolingo. And then we have Rosetta Stone, which of course is an online course, and that has been something that Ellie has really enjoyed doing as well. So yeah, so we've covered a lot just in the topic of learning Spanish and everything else. So I'm going to ask her another question, and then at that point I'm going to open it up for questions. So if you have any questions or comments on other ways of learning, maybe some non-traditional ways where your kids have really opened up and discovered something new, or something that you've done to really immerse yourself and dive into something, please feel free to post it in the comments, and I'll check those out as well. Now, Clara, we have traveled all over, and I would love to hear from you on maybe some interesting things that you've learned along the way in our travels.
Oh yeah. Well, we went to it was a distillery. Man,
you got it. A distillery.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And we learned that the reason that there's so many horses down in Kentucky is because they would go up to the northeast to trade whiskey, and then they come down on the fastest horses that they could.
That's right, because originally it was all about greyhounds.
Yep.
What's something else that's interesting about Kentucky?
Louisville and Lexington both wanted to be the capital of Kentucky.
Uh-huh.
So the judge just said, we'll do it right in the middle in...
Starts with an F.
Frankfurt.
There we go. It was really interesting. And I want to point out, she said distillery. Yes, we did a tour at Buffalo Trace Distillery. And I wanted to point that out because clearly this is not something you would think of as a child-friendly educational format. This is not a typical field trip. It's not going to the Children's Museum, which is fabulous, but it was going to a distillery. Well, this distillery actually offered, it offered 3 different types of tours. You could have a bourbon tour because it was Buffalo Trace bourbon, but they had a history of Kentucky tour and a ghost tour. And they did a fabulous job of educating people on the history of Kentucky, and especially the impact that whiskey has had there. It was one of the only 4 distilleries that were open during Prohibition, and it was used for medicinal purposes. And so there's a very rich history there. And yeah, we learned why Frankfurt's the capital of Kentucky. Had no idea, but that judge got pretty frustrated with Lexington and Louisville and said, "Done. I've had it. Right here, this little spot. This is going to be the capital." So it's been really interesting, and we've looked for non-conventional ways of learning, and whether that has been visiting a distillery or different brew tours. We've done different ones of those with the kids. We have, of course, the junior ranger programs at the national parks is another way that we've learned. Getting out and hiking in the woods. I forgot to ask Juliet what her favorite tree is. Jules, can you yell out what your favorite tree is that you learned about?
Gumbo, limbo, gumbo, limbo.
That's right. Gumbo limbo trees were very fun trees we learned about down in the Keys.
And that's what they used to make horses for carousels.
Really?
Way back in the day.
Yep.
And they made horses for carousels out of gumbo limbo trees. So there you go. There are all kinds of really fun facts and things where it may be that you think you're studying trees and nature, and it takes you down a path of learning about merry-go-rounds and carousels and how they were created. And that's the thing about creating that, as Sir Ken Robinson says, that climate of possibility. What's the possibility out there? What's the potential? How far down can you go on a path of learning? And what other things does it uncover? When we talked on the podcast again this week about what are our children going to be when they grow up. We asked Juliet this, and Juliet talks on the podcast. And Clara, I mean, you love animals, so you're going to be a vet, right?
No.
Why not?
Because I can't handle watching somebody pull one tick off of our dog.
So we learned that being a vet is not going to be something that she really has a desire to do right now. But out of your love of animals and your love of art, we've kind of opened up some other avenues that you've been interested in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So looking at what are some other things that you'd be interested in doing at this point?
Like doing photography, so like taking pictures of animals.
Animal photography, like National Geographic stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also there's a really fun looking pet sanctuary in Utah, which I love Utah so much.
So we found a place that is an animal sanctuary that's in Utah, and so we're going to look at going and volunteering there so that we get to play with animals and learn about all of the animals. And with the photography, she was interested in photography, so we have a friend who he's actually a videographer and a photographer, does an excellent job with it, and she apprenticed with him. She learned from him, and they made their own camera together, made a box camera.
It was really fun.
She had a blast doing it. She learned a ton about it, and that was an opportunity to expose her to it. We've also had Clara, you've gone and interviewed a veterinarian. When you were interested in it, we actually did call up a vet, and I asked, I've got a homeschooler, she's interested in being a vet. Could we possibly come and talk to you? And the response was, can you be here in 20 minutes? And so we were able to just hop on and do it. It's amazing how many people are very open and receptive to apprenticeships and shadowing and sharing what they're doing, sharing their passion with somebody who's really interested in it. She also has been able to shadow an architect for a day and learn about that, right? Mm-hmm. And so just recently she just drew her new rendition of a dream home for us, complete with, I think, every animal possible. And
there's a giant aquarium with a hot tub inside of it.
How great is that, guys? So yeah, and the rendering is pretty impressive based on the things that she learned from working with an architect and seeing kind of the layout, that it's not just a box and a square, but how things lay out logistically together. So yeah, there are a lot of different ways for learning. So we've talked about, things that you can do online, and I've got my my video on screen time, and then there's also the going and visiting random places that you don't necessarily consider as the educational place. You still have the opportunity to learn a lot. And where do you go to school?
Everywhere. That's
right. And so there are a lot of places out there that you can go. And then another thing is just tapping somebody on the shoulder. If they have experience in something that your child is interested in, ask them if your child can talk with them about it, or shadow them for a day, or do some form of an apprenticeship. Those are all powerful ways to add in that delight-led learning. Pursue their passions, and don't be afraid to pursue your own as well. Again, on the podcast, we talked about this week about how sometimes we're afraid to pursue our dreams or to even voice our dreams for fear that it's a lifelong commitment. That if we say it or start to pursue it, that this is what we have to have as our hobby or our passion for the rest of our lives. And it doesn't have to be that way. This week, I mean, you've got betta fish. What else have you just started dabbling in?
Corridor catfish.
Well, no, with yarn.
Oh!
Crocheting.
Yeah.
Crocheting.
A lot of crocheting.
A lot of crocheting. So she's been doing crocheting and adding that in. Now I'm not going to then immediately pin her into she's going to only have an Etsy store. I mean, she's an artist and she crochets and she paints and this is the only thing she does. No. There's a lot to Clara, and she's 10 years old. She has a lot of opportunity to explore a lot of different things, and so do we. It's okay to be multi-passionate, and you can do it without being flaky. It doesn't mean you just hop around and you make a big announcement on Facebook for every day the new whim that you're on, but don't be afraid to pursue the things that you're interested in. It may take you down a path that does open the doors to something that becomes more of a lifelong thing, or maybe it's just a step in your journey. So if there are any other questions, feel free to post them in there. I think I've kind of been on top of most of them, so we should be good. But thank you guys for listening. If you feel like you got anything out of this, some ideas and inspiration for things that you want to do with your kids or for yourselves, please comment and share and let us know what they are. And please feel free to share this video with others, and I'd love to hear more inspiration about it. And also, one last thing, on the podcast note, the shirt that I am wearing here, the Mama Stay, the Mama in Me sees the Mama in You. I am still handing those shirts out. Kayla, who supplied me with some great questions before this Facebook Live, she was one of the recipients of one of these shirts because we've addressed her questions on the air. So if you have some questions that are related towards schooling, non-traditional education, functional education in any way, and you want us to address them on the podcast, please type them in the comments here in one of the Facebook groups, or simply email me directly. And if we add it to the podcast, then we will also send you a Mama Stay shirt. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of the week. And remember that the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us. Namaste.